Hello, everyone. It is Bob, and welcome to the Holiday Hotline. Today is all about just getting momentum and sort of setting the stage so that you have an absolutely fantastic holiday season. So, that's the first thing is that, this whole idea we're just starting and let's make sure that we build it correctly so that we can end strong. And that's really what I'm going to be sharing with you here is we're just going to talk about some ideas, some mindset things, a couple of tactics that you can use. But then most importantly, I think this is an opportunity for you to ask questions. So I would love to, again, I would love to hear your questions. Please put them in chat and we will take it from there. And so the first thing that I would love to say is if you're here, I would love to see, who are you? Where are you from? Put it in chat for me. I would love to see and hear from you. So let's get into it then. So when we talk about momentum, this idea of how do you get the most from the rest of the season? We're still really early on, and it's not just till Christmas, it's really till New Year's, as you know. But one of the things that I think is most important to really think about and talk about is this idea of positive leadership. Attention goes where energy goes. So if you're positive, your team is going to be positive. If your team is positive, that's going to sort of, go out onto the floor and your customers are going to feel it. So your mindset every single day when you show up, your mindset has to be positive. It needs to be focused on your customers and your team and not your problems. One of the things that I loved about being in the toy business is I always knew that no matter what was happening in my life, that I was going to have 8 to 10 great hours a day. You know why? Because if I was working the floor, what that meant was I got to go and talk to kids and, show parents and teach games and all of those things. And recognizing that every single day and every single transaction, every single interaction is an opportunity for you to show love, to show compassion, to show the holiday spirit, and in return, get it back coming back to you, right? So when you show enthusiasm, you're going to get enthusiasm back. Not from everybody, I understand. But this whole idea of what you put out there comes back to you is so important during the holidays because I'm going to quick back up here. I spent a lot of years on the floor during the holidays. And, so I was a toy business, and not only was I a toy business, we were the coolest toy business around. And not only were we the coolest toy business around during the holidays, but for 2 years, 98 and 99, but 99 in particular, we were in the teeth of yo-yo booms. So we weren't just busy, we were literally to the walls filled with people. And so, there was this, the opportunity to become overwhelmed was absolutely there. So I understand how it can become stressful, how it can become annoying, how your team members, they don't show up, they don't call in, you have cranky customers, all of those things. But just recognize that you set the tone. You set the tone for your team, you set the tone, your team sets the tone for your customers. So this idea of you being really, really positive, and every day when you hit the lease line, everything that is going on outside of your store gets left behind. That's what I was talking about when I knew I was going to have 8 to 10 hours. No matter what is happening in your life, when you get to your store, get into it. Be present with your team, be present with your customers. make it a great experience for everyone, and they're going to make it a great experience for you. This is also a perfect opportunity for you to ADD a lot of things with your team. So if you're new to our community, ADD is a framework that I created, and it's an acronym for Ask, Discuss, Decide. And one of the things that I know, and that you know too, but I'm just sort of pointing it out here, is when you talk to your team, when you proactively solicit their opinions, when you tap into their genius, when you tap into their wisdom, into their creativity, into their experience, good things start to happen. Number one, they're going to give you great ideas. As the leader, you don't have to have the great ideas. You just have to be willing to go find the great ideas, and your team often has them. So the other thing is, this is the rule of reciprocity, right? When you give to your team members, when you ask them what they think, that is a gift, isn't it? You're telling them that you respect their opinion. That is a gift. And the rule of reciprocity says givers get. So when you ask your people, when you give them the gift of your attention, when you give them the gift of your respect, they're going to give you what you want. They're going to buy into what you're doing. So this is a perfect opportunity to ADD. If everybody is starting to feel burned out, you're starting to come down the stretch and everybody's starting to feel a little burned out. ADD. Okay, I am feeling a little burned out here. What should we do? What can we do? So, we're having problems. One of the things that I know is when it gets really busy, operational problems start to emerge. I can remember clearly that we sold this thing called a Darta car. It was a track with a wind-up car, and it was great. It was absolutely fantastic. And we brought in my dad, who the kids loved, and he demonstrated Darta cars. And we sold so many Darta cars, it was just preposterous. There were two problems that arose. First of all, keeping Darta cars on the floor. And second of all, we were selling them out faster than we could get them in. So we went to the team. What should we do? So we had basically somebody was designated a Darta car monitor, right? When the stack got low, it was their job to pull themselves from whatever they were doing and go gorge some more cars. The other thing was, okay, how can we solve this problem? And so part of the problem was solved on the back end with ordering and expediting orders. But part of it was also, okay, for people who come in and want Darta cars, but we don't have them, what else can we sell them? So this whole idea of ADD is so important. When you get your team members in on the action, when they're thinking about your business for you, great things start to happen. So, Indy, I can't see the questions here. So, will you just jump in if there are any questions?
Of course, yes.
Are there any questions?
No questions yet. Everybody's just
Okay.
saying hello. We've got people here from Pemberville, Ohio, Deb Seam. We have
Welcome.
Stephen from Photo and Framed in New Zealand.
Oh, hey, Stephen, how are you?
Got Heidi from Watertown, South Dakota. We've
Hello,
got Great
Heidi.
Turtle Toys of Mackinac Island.
All right, Great Turtle Toys.
Yep, Portland, Oregon is in the house. Hello, Laura. Marie Foley is on.
Hello,
Welcome
Marie.
all over.
Okay, good, good, good. So just jump in and interrupt me if there are questions, okay? And again, I really want to encourage you to ask questions. Any questions about the holidays, bring it on. That's why I'm here. If you think you're going to get stuck somewhere, talk to me. I may be able to answer the question. If I can't, I'll tell you. I have an opinion about most things, but if I don't know, I'll be the first one. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to tell you that I don't know what to do there. The next thing that I want to talk about, so that's about taking care of you and your mentality, being positive. The next thing that I want to talk about, and I'm so glad that Marie Foley is here because this is actually something that I learned from Marie, and that is to take care of yourself and your team. And Marie shared with us, Marie is in the Platinum Mastermind group. She just closed her store, but she's going to be in the mastermind until after our meeting in the Bahamas in this winter. But she scheduled, in fact, maybe you can even bring Marie on, Indy, but she made a point of making sure that everybody on her team had breaks. And so let's just recognize, so we want to make this the best time of the year. We want to make this a good time for both ourselves and our team. We don't want to get into come into Christmas burned out and so tired. And I've been there. That's one of the reasons we're doing this holiday hotline is so that you don't do that. This whole idea of take care of yourself. I remember going over to my in-laws, Susan's mom and dad, one Christmas night, and Susan and I were so tired. It was during the yo-yo boom, and God bless Peggy, but she didn't serve dinner till like 9:30, and I just remember being so exhausted. All I wanted to do was go home and go to bed. You don't want to be there. You don't want that for yourself. And so what that means is that you have to protect your attitude, which is what I just talked about, but also you have to take care of your body. You have to sleep. You have to eat healthy. You have to take care of yourself. And so since I don't see Marie here, what I'm going to share what she said to me, what she shared with me in an email. And since I don't see the chat, if I'm getting it wrong, Indy, please correct me if Indy's in chat.
Yep, I
Um,
will. Marie's in the comments, so she'll let me know, I'm sure.
okay. So everybody had to take 10 minutes out of the building every 2 or 3 hours. And they had to take, here, let me look this up. I can find that email. I know easily. Marie Foley, Revolutionary Concord. Two things. Okay, here it is. During the holidays, the Saturday before Thanksgiving through New Year's, after every 90 minutes, my team members were required to take a break out of the building for 10 minutes. Sometimes it ran to 2 hours if they were working with the customers. I also made sure that everybody had a 30-minute lunch break where they were not allowed to be interrupted. And so all of this meant that she had to be a better planner. And so I remember when I first heard this, it was right when Marie was first joining the Platinum Mastermind group. And Marie and Angela Scogan, who was in the mastermind, and I were talking in Atlanta. And Marie shared that with us. And Angela looked at her and said, "You are the right stuff for the Platinum Mastermind group because these are the sorts of insights that make all the difference. It seems, yeah, whatever. But I guarantee you that if you do this thing, that you plan those breaks, you and your team are going to come into that last week, the busy week between Christmas and New Year's. You're going to come into it fresh. The sports metaphor is a team that ends strong. The really great sports teams, when it comes down to the end of the fourth quarter or the second half, or however those units of time are measured, the best teams finish strong, and you want to finish strong. And what I just shared from you from Marie is absolutely brilliant. And I would strongly encourage you to put that into action. I would dare say that if you do that one thing, this time here together will be, it'll be a great investment in your future. So, the next thing that I want to talk about is operational integrity. Another thing that I learned the hard way was as the season wears down and as everyone starts to become more tired, I mean, it's the holidays, right? It's the most wonderful time of the year, but it's also can be the most tiring of time of the year. There is a tendency to let operations slip, specifically closing duties. That is the most common operational slip. Everybody's tired. It's the Saturday before Christmas and you've just had a monster day and everybody is tired and you just want to let everybody go home. The tendency is to say, okay, everybody, we're just going to let this slide. But what I am sharing with you is do not let that slide. One of the tricks to keeping your energy and one of the tricks to keep those inevitable annoyances down is to make sure that all the work gets done the right way. If you've been part of this community for any amount of time, you know how strongly I feel about the importance of having an open and closing checklist done to standard every single day. Because when you have an open and closing checklist and you're, excuse me, doing it right, what that means is that every day before you open your store gets back to perfect. Now, when it's busy, it's more important than ever that the store is back to perfect. Because if somebody goes into the stock room and they're looking for a particular item and the stock room hasn't been organized the night before, they're going to root around. They may find it, they may not find things. And it lends itself to the increasing probability that those little things that start to stress you out and build up, start to happen. So operational integrity, it's so easy to let it slip. And I'm looking at you and say, don't let it slip. Don't let it slip. You as the leader need to show that leadership and show that positivity. And, you need to crank it up yourself one more time just to get that closing checklist done so you can all get out of there, but you can all feel good that you closed the store the right way. Same thing in the morning. You do the opening checklist. You make sure that it's done to standard. So when you open the doors, everybody feels confident that they can do business correctly. Anything for me, Indy?
No questions right now. Marie just chimed in. You got it totally right, but she wanted to say too, my team stayed more refreshed and happy to help customers without totally burning out. I did this for 10 years and it was a game changer for them when their holiday arrived and they could actually be present for their family.
Thank you so much for that comment, Marie, because that's exactly right. And, going back to the beginning, and I don't know that whether I articulated this correctly or completely at the top of this show, but that's what, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And as somebody who has worked through, a lot of holiday seasons, I know when it works right and I know when it doesn't work right. And to Marie's point, if you and your team can get through the holidays and feel good and not be burned out and be able to be present with your family on Christmas Day, as opposed to Bob Nagin being, I got to get out of here, I got to go to bed. This is what you want to do. And you want to do this for your team and you want to do it for yourself. So, one more thing I wanted to talk about here, and this isn't really about operational integrity. This is one more mindset thing, and this is two techniques to deal with stress. The first is, I love three-letter acronyms, ADD. This one is BAM, B-A-M. I love TLAs, three-letter acronyms, but BAM is a TLA, a three-letter acronym for breathe, acknowledge, and move on. And this should be part of your mentality, and it should be part of your team's vernacular during the holidays. And so, whenever you have those inevitable things that trigger you, a team member is not doing things the way that you want them to be done. Somebody calls in sick and you're not quite sure they're sick. Somebody comes in late. You have a customer who is making an unreasonable request. An order doesn't show up on time. You know what I mean? All those things. Breathe. In fact, I'd like you to do that for me right now. Breathe. Do you see how your physiology changed? So breathe, and you may not be able to take a big, deep breath on the floor if you're, dealing with a disgruntled customer. But this whole idea of take a deep breath, change your physical state. Acknowledge how you feel. How you feel is how you feel. Don't suppress it. Don't repress it. Don't express it. You're making me mad. Just acknowledge how you feel. I am so frustrated with that person. This person is being so unreasonable. Just feel it for a second. Just acknowledge it and then let it go. Then move on. Breathe, acknowledge, move on. And so this should be a technique that you use regularly, but you should also make it part of your team's mentality, your team's language, as I shared. Because if everybody knows it, then when you go in the back in your stock room and you can see that somebody's frustrated, rather than trying to work it all out and figure it all out, bam, breathe, acknowledge, move on. Get past that trigger and get back to the work at hand, which is showing your customers a wonderful, wonderful holiday experience. The second one is Q-tip. That's a four-letter acronym, actually, but Q-tip is an acronym for quit taking it personally. So often, when there is a problem, we make it about ourselves, and it's not. If you have a customer who comes in and they're disgruntled, they're making an unreasonable request, they're angry, they're frustrated, or whatever, we sometimes have a tendency to think that it's about us, but it's not, right? There's this concept called Sonder. And what Sonder is this idea that everybody has an internal life that you don't see, that you don't know. So somebody who might be acting out on your floor, it doesn't have anything to do with you. They might have lost a loved one this past year, and the holidays are hard on them. They may not be able to afford gifts, the gifts that they want to give this year, and so they're feeling stressed about it. Everybody has their own life and their own story, and rather than taking it upon ourselves, show some grace and don't take it personally. Just understand that everybody has their own story and show some grace. And so when you can not take things personally, it makes everything a lot easier. Because when you take things personally, there's a tendency to go back and go on the offensive, right? They did this thing, I'm going to do this thing, they're going to do this thing, right? Don't get into that. Both BAM and Q-tip are all about you maintaining a very, very even keel, positive attitude through the holidays. And then the final thing that I want to share here is this idea of more marketing. Now, I am not suggesting you put a bunch of promotions on your calendar, although you certainly can. If you have a good email list, you can decide to have a promotion the night before, send an email out and do that promotion during that day. The very first time we did the 12 days of Christmas at the Mackinac Kite Company, I mean, I literally learned about that, how that worked. Didn't, I mean, I heard the concept, but we created the format basically on the fly. It was like, Steve, this is a great idea. Let's do it. There's 13 days left. Let's start tomorrow. And that's how we did it. So the point here is it doesn't have to be a big thought through, lots of stuff done in advance kind of promotion. It could be on the floor, on the fly. It could be an unboxing. You could go live with a customer. So if, in fact, that is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful idea for lives. Somebody's on your floor and they're ranting and raving about something they have bought from you. You merely ask them, and you give your team permission to ask somebody, "Hey, you want to talk about it live on social media?" And some people will go, "No, no, no, no." But some people will go, "Yeah, I would love to." And literally, you take out your phone. This is a invisible imaginary phone in my fingers. You take out your phone and said, "Hey, I am here with my friend Janet, and Janet was telling me how much she loved blue widgets. Janet, talk to us about blue widgets, blah, blah, blah." And the more she goes on, the more good questions you can ask. And all of a sudden, what are you going to see? You're going to see a rush on blue widgets. You could do an unboxing video every single day. There are so many opportunities for you to promote your business during the holidays that don't mean a lot, don't need a lot of preparation, don't need you know, um, a lot of emails, don't need a lot of social media. I mean, if you build your calendar first, you're going to have a lot more structure to your holiday promotions, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment, but recognize that you control your destiny. And the more activity you create, marketing activity you create, the more traffic you're going to drive. You have to distinguish yourself from the competition. And marketing is the way to do it. Margot Kopman from Project Retail, I emailed her about the holiday seasons. I sort of did a survey with a number of our favorite retail experts and just sort of hey, what do you see? And what she said was, this is the year for social interaction. She said, more promotions. And we're kind of late in the season to start really planning out big promotions, but you can certainly now start to plan in little promotions. You can do a lot of these on the floor, on the fly, spontaneous social media live shows. There's still a lot that you can do. In fact, please put into chat, what are you planning on doing? What promotions are you going to do from now until the end of the year? So that brings us to something for next year. So while this particular holiday hotline is about how to get momentum through the end of this year, I really want to encourage you to understand that next year is important. Every year is important, but somehow I have a feeling that because of the uncertainty in the economy, that this is going to be another one of those watershed years, that the stores that do well are going to do incredibly well. The stores who are not doing the right things are going to struggle harder than they usually do. That it's not going to be a business as usual year. This is the year for everybody to get good. And one of the best ways to get good is to build your structure. And one of the most important structural pieces in your business is your marketing plan. And the most important part of your marketing plan, or one of the most, is your promotional calendar. Promotions are what drive traffic, promotions are what build buzz, promotions are what brings money into the till. And on January 13, Susan and I are doing a full day program called Power Promotions. And there's four things that are really important to know about Power Promotions. Number one, you will get wisdom. You will understand the concepts behind your calendar. You understand the concepts behind your promotions. You will gain a deeper, heartfelt understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And that's so incredibly important that you understand why you're doing what you're doing. And then with that wisdom and with that knowledge, you're going to start to build out your calendar. You see, if you have a year-long marketing calendar, all of a sudden you're not doing this, throw some stuff on the wall and hope something sticks. You're not lurching from promotion to promotion. All of a sudden, your marketing has this cadence and it feels really, really, really good. And it really will help you build a better business. And we're also going to go through, we promised 50, but when I went through the list and started to modify it, you're going to get about somewhere around 75 ideas, 75 different promotions for you to think about. So what you're going to do is you're going to take those promotions, you're going to put them into your calendar, and all of a sudden your calendar is going to start to look like something real, solid, and executable. But then this is the fun thing that I really, really like is that we have created a template for you to use with AI to help you absolutely maximize every one of those promotions. So you go from prompt to prompt to prompt to prompt to prompt. So for instance, let's just say you are going to do, I'll just use something like the 12 days of Christmas. So I'm doing this. Here's my customers, here's my store, here's when I'm going to do it. This is what I'm thinking, blah, 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 blah. Write me a press release, all these things. So we're really excited to add that to that AI component to Power Promotion. So if you register between now and Friday, it's only $497. Normally, it's $997. Like everything we do here at Whizbang Training, it has an unconditional money back guarantee. If at the end of the day you don't go, wow, I'm going to take this $497 and turn it into 50,000, 100,000, $150,000. Call us up. We'll give you all your money back. If you're not thrilled with what you learned, with what happened during the day, let us know. We'll give you your money back. So, having said all of that, Indy, are there questions? Oh, so yes. 497. I'm assuming that Indy is putting the link in chat right now.
Yes.
That special deal, save $500, is only good until Friday. So, do yourself a favor, click on the link, do it now while I'm answering questions. You'll be really, really glad you did.
Yes,
Indy, any
speaking of
questions?
promotions, Bob, we have a few people chiming in saying that they're doing 12 days of Christmas, and we have a few questions about it.
Okay, let's hear them.
Heidi Coleman asked, what do you do with items not sold at the end of each day? Do you keep them on sale or do you move them out?
That is entirely up to you. In general, I like to move them back to full price because otherwise the scarcity isn't quite as powerful, right? And if somebody comes in and said, "Oh, I saw this item on sale, blue widgets on sale yesterday. Do you have any more?" And you say, "Yeah," and they say, "Can I have the special deal?" You do the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I don't do this for everybody, but I'll do it for you action. and then sell it to them. But in general, you don't want to have a whole pile of leftover sale items at the end. I like to put it back to full price, unless you have way too many, in which case keeping them on sale is a strategy to get those numbers down. Now, having said that, I was watching Pet Bistro. I was watching their social media feed, and they do the 12 days of Christmas. But because they have vendor supported items. I mean, they go and they go to their vendors and say, hey, I'm doing 12 days of Christmas. This is how many items we typically sell on 12 days of Christmas. What can you do to support us if you are one of our, 12 days? If you give us, if you participate, we'll give you a whole end cap and we'll do that whole thing. And so they keep everything on sale until it's sold out, but they do that because they have made that arrangement with their vendors. So there is no right answer, I guess, is the answer there, Heidi. So, but a great question. Thank you.
Yes, and she had a follow-up to that too. She asked, how flexible are the dates for the 12 days? She said, I'm in very rural South Dakota and weather can be a major factor.
Yes, absolutely. So, and this is a great question, Heidi. With all of these things, so what do when we teach marketing, when I teach marketing, what I try to do is I try to give the ideas, share the wisdom, share the perspective. But at the end of the day, you as the store owner have to take what you've learned and make it your own. So to your question, Heidi, you can, if you're in rural South Dakota and weather is an issue, and I know it is an issue, do what you think is best for your store. So if there's a huge, huge snowstorm and nobody can get out, you don't say, "Oh, sorry, you lose." You say, you send an email out, you post on social media, you talk about it, you do something different. So here are a couple of off the top of my head ideas for that situation, and I'd love to see other people chime in. So I have a store in rural South Dakota, small town, huge blizzard comes in. I don't want my customers getting in the car and driving. So what do? I do things like I go live. I talk about the 12 days of Christmas. I say things like, look, uh, if you don't have to be on the road, you should not be on the road. You should not drive into town just to save this $20 or whatever the special deal is. Tell you what, I'm happy to honor the deal. Do me a favor here. Put in the comments that I'd like one, or I'd like two, or I'd like three. Call the store. Create some other call to action that allows people to buy what you have on sale without having to get into a car. And so now that's one thing to think about. Another thing that I see people do all sorts of interesting things with. I know some people who do their 12 days of Christmas in the beginning of December because they're already super busy at the end of December. The way, going back to what I was sharing, the way we traditionally typically teach it, is that it should be the 12 days leading up to Christmas because that mirrors the story, and the story is sort of what holds the narrative of the promotion together. But I know a lot of people who do the 12 days of Christmas and they do it the first 12 days of December. Another variation on the theme. Maureen Doran, who some of you know of, Platinum Mastermind Group member, she does the 12 days of gift and giving. And so it's not the 12 days of Christmas, but she puts it in the context of getting a gift. So it's the same promotion, it just has a little different language around it. I know some people who do the whole month, right? They do 23 days of deals, and every day leading up to Christmas, there is a deal. So again, take what you're learning from me and from our community and make it yours. Here's another great little twist on the 12 days of Christmas. You can use this concept of an item sale. This is a type of promotion, an item sale. An item sale is a promotion that has one item at a very deep discount, and that item at a deep discount becomes a traffic driver, a loss leader. The deal is that that item gets people in the store, and then of course your wonderful merchandise, your beautiful displays, and most importantly, your highly trained people turn that into turn that visit into more than just the one item. But you can also do the 13 days of Halloween. You can make up your own whatever you want to do. So it's a great question. I'm so glad that you asked it because it really kind of points to this idea that there's a template, but you can riff on the template. And by the way, and Heidi, this ties into power promotions too. When I talked about wisdom, this is one of the things that we talk about when we talk about wisdom in relationship to a promotional calendar. When you understand what the purpose of something is, when you understand leverage, when you understand lifetime value of a customer, when you understand lifetime value of a promotion, all of a sudden you start to do it differently. And so this idea of you can take the 12 days of Christmas and turn it into 13 days of Halloween and turn it into the 6 days of whatever you make up is a perfect example of wisdom and leverage. So that was a long answer, Heidi. I hope that that answered your question.
Yes, we have another comment from Jennifer Larson. I'm going to read it to you verbatim because it made me laugh. She said, "Dear Bob, help me please. This is sincere. The 12 Days of Christmas promo drives me crazy. Why? Because the 12 Days of Christmas technically starts on Christmas. It makes me cringe every time I see a 12 Days of Christmas starting before the date. Why does it make me cringe so? Please, please, please look straight into the camera and tell me to get over it. I just need the push, please."
This is so funny. Jennifer, get over it. So this is a perfect example of perspective, right? And yeah, so yes, you're probably the kind of person who drives you crazy when the punctuation isn't right and all those things. So, Jennifer, I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate what you're saying. But I'm asking you to recognize that the dollars that you will make from a beautifully executed 12 days of Christmas promotion should sort of ease the pain of the calendar not syncing up with the actual story. So that's a great question, Jennifer. And I'm looking you in the eyes. All right.
I knew you'd like that one. Okay.
I did a lot. Thank you, Jennifer.
Switching gears a little bit here, Michelle had a question about announcing a store closure and
Uh-huh.
if you think that's a good idea to do during the holidays or waiting until after the first of the year.
Well, so there's a couple of things to think about here, Michelle. And first of all, I hope you're happy with your decision to close your store. Not like Marie closed her store and she is very, I mean, it was the right decision given Marie's circumstances. But a lot of people close their stores and they don't want to, right? So, but I'm just going to say that I just shared that because I hope that you're closing it with a clean heart, that you feel good about the decision. Now, having said that, and Marie might chime in on this because at least assuming she's still here, there's a couple things to think about. One of the things to think about is that a store closing sale drives massive amounts of traffic. And if you do it correctly, if you buy into it, you can really make a lot of money. So, if you're coming at it from the perspective of, I want to get rid of the merchandise that I have right now so I can close this thing, maybe your lease is done at the end of December, then I absolutely would start it now. One of the things to recognize is that when you do a retirement sale, a store closing sale, a going out of business sale, whatever you call it, you're going to get a whole new set of customers, right? People who you've never seen before are going to be picking your shelves, but you're also going to sell a lot more stuff. Now, having said that, if you have time after the first of the year and you're willing and it's appropriate to doing a really solid, professionally run, going out of business sale, I would wait until after the holidays. Um, Indy, do you have Chris's from, I don't have that. Marie has that email address. But anyway, Marie uses and we recommend Chris at Liquidation Specialists, I believe is the email address. And if you,
I can find out.
um,
I'll message Belinda and see if she has it.
okay, good, good, good. And I know that he has a special offer for Whiz Bang training. So there's a special link and, it's an affiliate link, but I like a professional going out of business sale. The people who I know who do it and do it correctly make a lot more money because they've had that professional help. It's not inexpensive to get the professional help in your building to do it, but like everything, it's an investment. So if you pay them a couple $1,000s, I don't know what it even costs. Marie can probably chime in here, but they make you many tens of thousands of dollars. That's what we call a good investment. This is not necessarily a time to go do it on your own. So I know that that's a very nebulous answer, but unless I had more information, it yeah, unless I had more information, I couldn't give you a better answer. Another thing you might want to think about is going on to our Whizbang Retailers Facebook group page and ask that question because there's a lot of experience in that group and it's super supportive. So, but great question. Thank you for asking.
Yep, and I'll put in that info once I get it from Belinda here in a little bit. It looks like
Okay.
we are done with questions. Jennifer responded to you, looking her in the eyes and saying to get over it. She said, "Thank you, Bob. I'm healed. I just needed to hear it from you."
I mean, I'm glad you're healed, Jennifer. So good. So thank you to everybody who was here. I know that you're really busy this time of year, and so I'm particularly honored that you're here. It's one thing in the middle of February when it's slow to jump on a call for an hour, but so I'm honored and I really, really appreciate it. And if you have any follow-up, no, 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 I had one question. No, Simone Ottinger asked it on the Facebook group page. She said, "What do you do if you're out of sizes?" So she sells apparel. And so somebody comes in and they want this thing in a large and she's out of large. She said, "How do you steer them to something else?" And it was a great question. So I hope that if she watches this as a replay, or I'll actually share that she can. This is why having a trained sales team is so important because a really good salesperson is not just showing what the person came in for. A really good salesperson is asking good questions, and that good question leads to an understanding of what the person wants. So it's more than just the item that the person wants. The person wants something behind the item. So in the example of apparel, they may want a cashmere scarf and they may want this particular brand of cashmere scarf, but a good salesperson will know that it's not the cashmere scarf that the person is buying. The person is buying this gift for this person who has this kind of style and they want to spend this much. So when I teach selling, there's this concept that I teach, this catchphrase is the more you know, the better you serve. The better you serve, the more you sell. And so the more you know, the better you are able to steer somebody away from something they may have had their heart set on and be able to steer them to something else that is still a perfect purchase. So that was a question that I forgot to get to, but I just got to. So did that prompt any other questions, Indy?
No other questions. It looks like so many things. Sewing Center just signed up for power promotions though, so I'll pop
All
that
right,
in the chat
wonderful.
one more
Thank
time.
you. You'll be really glad you did. And if you haven't yet, again, that special offer, half price, it comes fully guaranteed. It's good until Friday. I give it I gi- I give it my strongest recommendation. So, I mean, it really, really is it's a hot program. The first time we did it live in Chicago, and we had people come from Italy, Ireland, the Bahamas, the Caymans, the Virgin Islands. We had people, United States and Canada. There's that. When you have a great promotions calendar, you really, really, really are in the driver's seat with your marketing. And that's what you're going to leave Power Promotions with. So do yourself a favor, sign up.
All right, Bob, I think that is it.
Okay. Well, one more time. Thank you, everybody. I hope that you found this helpful. Well, let me know if you have any other questions. Okay. Take care, everybody. See you later.